Good day, everyone. This is Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM. You are listening to The Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Massena. Massena is joining us via phone, and I have also Coach Garrison joining me in the station because we have a very important topic on safety, summer safety, and things of that nature. Massena.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is having a wonderful and productive day. Yes, we are talking about summer safety today. It's really, really important that we be mindful during this heat. So, look forward to getting into this topic with everyone today, and I hope you guys are enjoying your day.
Yeah, and Coach Garrison is joining us because I have a particular document that I want him to review with our listening audience, and that would be on heat and heat stroke. But to start off, we're going to go to our report 2022 Summer Safety Guide. Nearly 38,000 children visited the emergency room because of pool-related injuries last year, but trampolines caused almost 3 times as many injuries. That was reported June 26th of 2022. Summer should be a time of fun and relaxation for families, not a season of injuries or stress. Unfortunately, accidental injuries tend to peak as the temperature rises, and people spend more time taking part in outdoor activities. So it tends to rise because more and more people are participating in outdoor activities. Coach Garrison.
Yeah, it's great. I think, how long we've been waiting to get outside, and we had this short spring this year. I think spring was about 2 days long.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the pollen and all of that. That was the decor that let us know that spring was here. But man, this I'm not even gonna say COVID-19, but that had us locked into this year. We began to relax a lot of the regulations, and people were able to get outside. And I've put my feet in the ocean this year already. But now today we got to talk about the safety features.
Yeah.
Being in that sun.
And I know from experience and just from living in 2 parts of the country so far that the climate plays a big factor. And Coach Garrison is going to touch on that in a minute. But I'm saying that because.
And I want to say this before I get in trouble. Hello, Miss Massena. How are you? Okay, she might be on mute, but I didn't want to violate, man. We got to speak to our people.
That's right.
And I believe she's doing well. All right, my friend. Sorry about that. Carry on, sir.
Yeah, I was saying that particularly because I have had the awesome pleasure of living in 2 climates, because I consider being from where I'm from in New Jersey one climate, because when winter hits, it's winter. Believe me. But I found that here in North Carolina during the winter months, it doesn't get as cold as it did when I was living up north and the Jersey Shore. So wintertime down here feel almost like springtime, believe it or not, to me. And so that's why we have a high temperature factor in the summer months here in North Carolina, because it's almost that factor where it's almost warm or hot all the time. Just imagine if you was in Florida.
Yeah, I know that Florida air and that weather will choke you out.
Yeah.
You often think about moving there if you're going to retire if you don't like the cold weather. Well, I'll say this. I talked to a PhD. I called into another show that we have here. We have another healthcare show, and she basically, I told her, we didn't give me some more earphone. We didn't die when our mom and dad left us in the car. We played outside all day. If you went in the house, you might have to stay in the house. Okay. So, or you get violated real quick. Don't be coming back and forth into this house. But, we come in and get water and Kool-Aid. So my question to the PhD in the health world was, why come we didn't have the complications and hear as much about child fatalities in cars and things of that nature as we do today? And basically her answer was, kids aren't used to it today.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to be acclimated to a climate. And a lot of us now are air conditioned, dependent, if you will. And hey, rightfully so. I'm not telling you to go roll out there in the sun, hot and sweaty, but I'm a sports guy, and I remember practicing football in this kind of weather. And we had what you call bug juice, Gatorade, 10-gallon buckets, and you drink the grass, and you have mix that you put in this got cooler, and you mix it all up, and sometimes bugs and grass would get in it, and we didn't have sugar, so we called it bug juice. But we were used to, hot weather growing up more so than now. So I guess there's more air conditioners. So we have to Google the statistics to see the plight of conditioned air here in America.
That's right. I'm looking for a document now. I'm on hot car.
Yeah.
Because hot car is a very important topic. Approximately 2 weeks ago, I attended a outdoor event at the parking lot of Kohl's that was put on by the Pitt County Safe Community Coalition, in particular, Ms. Ellen Walston, who I work with. I'm on her traffic action team.
Right.
And I'm looking for that document where it says even if the temperature reaches above 90-something degrees, it's not a good idea to keep a child or elder person in the vehicle, because even not for a second. And I remember that when I spoke to a young lady as I had pulled up and parked at a Walmart, not a Walmart, I'm sorry, at a Walgreens, she was getting out of her car and left a child in the back seat. So, and I approached her and said, man, I don't think that's a good idea. After I explained to her the reason why, we have a little background noise. I think that's on Massena side. After I explained to her the reason why, there we go. That's better. After I explained to her the reason why, she thought about it and turned around and removed the child out of the car and took the child inside the store with her, which was an excellent idea, because even a second is too long to leave someone inside of a hot car.
Well, the average number of U.S. child hot car deaths is 38 per year, Dr. Johnson, one every 9 days. And an in-depth analysis of child hot car death data can be found at kidsandcars.org.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to look up that, kids and car safety, and I'll just give you a bit of statistics. You was looking for this document. In 1990 to 2000, there were 212 children that passed away in hot car fatalities. And in 2021, there were 23. So, for a total of 1,118 fatalities between, 1990 and 2021. So we have decreased that with education, I'm sure, and all the elements that.
Yeah. And we just had a recent prevention. As we were giving the event at the Kohl's parking lot, a Greenville fire chief had spoke to the news media, to inform everybody that as that event was going on, they had received a call that a child was in a hot car. So fortunately, the child had ample, I'm trying to think of the right appropriate word. He had the right knowledge to get himself and remove himself from the vehicle. So to glory be to God, because he was able to remove himself from the vehicle to avoid a catastrophe. So that was one good outcome, Coach.
Yeah, no doubts. I think that being able to get out of the car, I think now the children are definitely savvy, and they get in the car and get up in there and buckle their seat belts and all those,
right.
in the car seats and everything.
They
so
do.
I believe that child got out of that hot car. He said, no, not today.
Today. Don't leave me inside no hot car.
You're not baking me like a cookie.
We got 30 seconds before we go to the first break. And when we come from the break, I'm going to go back over to my co-host, Ms. Massena Lewis, and I'm going to go over to Coach Garrison to give us information on the heat and heat stroke factors concerning summertime heat and summertime safety. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show, 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. Back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Back in a moment.
My name is
Mitchell's, a long-standing name in the
Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivation with Glenn and Massena, here on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. I'm joined with my co-host, Miss Massena Lewis, and Coach Vernon Garrison. But before I get back to them, we have a very important call on the line. This is Chief Clunes from the Winterville Fire Rescue Station. Chief.
Hey, Mr. Glenn, thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. I'm so honored that you could join us today. I know you want to give a little bit of information on the heat factors and involvement in summer months. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
You can proceed if you would like to. And then I'm going to ask Coach Garrison and Massena to expound on what you mentioned, to have a little bit more information on heat stroke and heat safety.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. Go
yes,
ahead.
Sir. Yeah, thanks again for having me. I know we've been talking about getting me to come on for a while, and schedules just don't match up. So I'm glad it finally worked out.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing I want to talk about is heat exposure, especially with the way the weather has been the past couple of weeks, and we've only got about 6.5 more weeks of summer, but no one's counting. So there's difference in the different heat exposures. Heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat stroke is what we look at in my line of work as a paramedic. And it varies in severity. Heat cramps being the least severe, and then heat stroke being the most severe. So some signs and symptoms we want to look at, and all my information is coming from CDC, Centers for Disease Control. So heat cramps is basically just working out in the yard, playing sports, whatever it is this time of year. Get cramps in your muscles. Comes from dehydration, not drinking enough fluids. Something to look at is the muscle pain and spasms, and then heavy sweating. Excuse me. The next most severe heat exposure we're talking about is heat exhaustion. That's where heat cramps have not subsided. You continued sweating, continued working outside. You're losing the electrolytes and the nutrients that your body needs to maintain normal. Your skin becomes cold or cool and pale, and you continue to sweat excessively. Might feel nauseous, perhaps even throw up along with it. Dizziness, headache, and then worst case would be a fainting spell, passing out. And then the most severe and one thing we want to stress to everybody the most is signs and symptoms of heat stroke. Your body temperature gets above 103 degrees, which is dangerous. The skin becomes hot, red, and dry. The biggest difference between the two is heat exhaustion. You're still sweating profusely. Heat stroke signs, especially late sign, is the absence of sweating. So we see the absence of sweating, loss of consciousness, dizziness, or confusion. We stress to everybody, call 911 immediately. Try to get that person inside, get them cooled down. Don't dump them in an ice bath. That's, I know in a lot of sports, the ice bath is really nice after, practice outside. But heat stroke, we want to passive cooling. So, cool towels over the neck or in the armpits or in the groin, misting with water, sip cool fluids, those kinds of things. So those are the big three to look after. We got a little long-winded there for you, so sorry.
Let me ask you a question, because if you just dump somebody in a bucket of ice, wouldn't that cause shock or something to the body?
Yes, it can be a shock to the system. The system says, "Oh, hold on a second, that's a little bit too much too soon." So like I said, take somebody inside, get all the clothes, keep them decent, but get the clothing off them, the restricting clothing off of them, get a fan to blow over, and then just those cool cloths and compressions over. Really, we want to get them over the major vessels. So in your neck, in your armpits, in your groin, wherever the major blood vessels are running through, we can cool that blood down and get it circulating through the body quicker. That's what we're looking for.
And I have one more question for you before I let you go, because I know you have things to do. What about overexertion, particularly if somebody's exercising and is just doing a little bit too much? How would that affect the body in this heat?
So the overexertion, these are the heat exposure steps I just talked about. It can start with muscle cramps, and it's just, you get a cramp in your arms, you get a cramp in your leg, or whatever it is, and it can progress if not addressed quickly, or if not addressed at all, to the heat stroke signs and symptoms. So, and especially with the way the temperature and the humidity is right now, that can happen extremely quick. So, we stress to drink lots of fluids. Everybody's big on drinking the Gatorade and the sports drinks, which is fine if you are exerting yourself a lot outside. But we stress moderation on those.
Yeah.
They're just high in sugar. They sell them as being great things, and they are really good supplements. But water is the number one thing that we stress to everybody to make sure they're drinking plenty of.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I know you got other things to do.
Chief, one question.
Yeah.
One question, Chief. I just recently did updated defensive driving class, and in that class, they are teaching people that anything, if it's over 60 degrees outside, is too hot for your child to be in the vehicle. Is that also the standard you guys go by?
I wish I could speak more intelligently on like what the actual temperature is. We just stress to everybody is before you get out of the vehicle, make sure no one else in the vehicle. Don't leave your child or unattended. Don't leave your pet unattended in the vehicle. Especially this time of year, that car can exceed 120 plus degrees extremely quickly, and that'll affect a child. That'll affect an adult, very quickly, but even a child, even quicker. So we just stress that, look before you exit the vehicle and make sure you don't have anybody in the vehicle. And if you are going to exit the vehicle, make sure that it's on and air conditioning is moving. The windows being down is not enough. Windows up, air conditioning going, obviously don't leave your child in the car, but just look before you exit.
And go ahead, Coach Garrison.
Sir, I got a question. How would you describe your numbers now on a weekly or monthly basis? Are you above average? Is the public educated, or are you responding in a overwhelming way to heat stroke, heat exhaustion, or things of the like?
Yeah, so I think early summer, late spring, early summer, I think everybody gets really comfortable in the springtime, they're out in the yards, they're working, they're glad to be outside after the winter. So when the temperature gets warm quicker, we run quite a few. And then as the summer goes on, I think people become more acclimated and they get used to changing their fluid intake process from winter to summer. So it does kind of step down a little bit. But here in August, we've got school ramping up and outside sports, football camps and all these other spring or fall sports that are kicking up. That we see a slight uptick in more heat exhaustion calls, but this time, the end of summer, it starts leveling out for us quite a bit.
Thank you, sir.
And Chief, if you want to do me a favor, would you pronounce the correct pronunciation of your last name, your title, and would you spell your last name?
Your pronunciation was fine. No, so my last name is Klontz. It's Klontz, and I'm the recruitment and retention coordinator for the town of Winterville.
Thank you, sir. We just need that for media purposes. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Glad to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Coach Garrison, you want to take us out to the break, and then I'm going to give it to you and Massena when we come back from the break.
Well, I think there was some great interview, great information. The infants and the elderly, that's the target. And we should concentrate on that. I'm not saying that everybody else in between that, should have common sense to manage their exposure to the heat.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the infants and the elderly are most acceptable, and those on various types of medication, you respond different than the heat. So all my superheroes out there that like the heat, that you need to respect the heat.
And remember, common sense is not common, but it's up to us to take care of our children and our older adults. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep it locked right here to Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM. Back in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. This is Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, WBISLP. Still joined by my co-host, the fabulous Miss Massena Lewis, and our special guest joining us also is Coach Vernon Garrison. And I'm going to ask him to go to the document on heat stroke. But before he does, Massena, I just want to point out to you the question that you asked Deputy Chief. When I get home, I'm going to email you some additional documentation on that, along with a great contact number so you can get more information on it. Coach Garrison.
All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to expound a little bit on what we talked about, as to what causes a heat stroke and the symptoms and the causes. So this is the educational part. Heat stroke occurs when your body just can't cool itself down. Think about it. We have an AC unit, basically our skin and all of our systems work to regulate our body temperature. And also the brain controls the bodily functions. It's our thermostat, and it sets the core body temperature. It's, typically sets your body temperature at about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit and 37 degrees Celsius. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? I'll be very short about this of heat stroke. They can come in various ways. Heat stroke is a medical emergency. If you're someone who exhibits the following, then anhydrous is the dry skin, the sweating, which is more common in non-external heat stroke. There are other things like balance problems, delirium, confusion, disorientation, dizziness, excessive sweating. Continues after you stop exercising, more common in external heat strokes. Flushed skin, very pale skin, low or high blood pressure, lung crackling, bubbling or gurgling sound in the lungs, nausea, vomiting. So you want to look for things that's out of the ordinary, because these heat strokes can be pretty complicated. Your brain can swell up, kidney failure, liver failure. So try not to be Superman or Superwoman out there in the heat. Even though you're like me, you love it. I'd rather for it to be 92 than 29, Doc.
I'd rather for it to be 29 than 92.
And I think Massena, we're going to kick it to her. What's going on, young lady? How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Hey.
I didn't know if you could hear me earlier when I responded, but I'm doing all right. Just busy. I'm glad that we're talking about this topic today because, as I was saying, I just did a defensive driving class in which, when they were talking about this portion of the class, which was leaving children in vehicles, it was saying that anything hotter than 60 degrees outside is too hot for your child to be in a vehicle.
That's right.
Because as the fire rescue just said, it gets hot in the car very, very quickly. Even though we're thinking it's 60 degrees, you got to understand our vehicles are made of a lot of heavy materials, metals. That stuff heats up, and then you have your windows, glass. I don't know if people realize, but glass also heats up very quickly and gets very hot. And our cars are surrounded with glass and metal and all of these other materials. And so, therefore, even though it may be 60 degrees outside, it can get 90 degrees inside your car very, very quickly, very easily. And for a child with little lungs, that is a dangerous situation.
I'm glad you said that, Massena, because I want to point out one other factor about cars. And I'll reuse this as an example. My car, which is a fairly new car, once I get in my car inside my garage, as I'm stepping into the car, is one temperature. As soon as I get inside the car and close the door, it's like the temperature increased 10 times. Because my car just seems to hold heat. And while we're on this temperature in cars, for all those that don't know, the worst thing you could do is get inside of a car and immediately turn on the air conditioning without letting some of the heat escape from the vehicle. Because what's going to occur is it's going to cause the pressure to build up inside the car. Now your windows are not going to explode. They're going to implode. That means they're going to implode in towards you. And now you want that to happen at the least possible. So roll your windows down prior to turn the air conditioner on if you find it be extremely hot inside your vehicle. That's a safety factor at its best. Roll your windows down, let the heat escape prior to turning on the air conditioning. Also, I don't know if you heard me, Massena, but when we conclude today's broadcast, when I get home, I'm going to email you a contact number and some more information on our car. This lady, she's very knowledgeable in the hard car area. I'm going to give you her information.
Wonderful. And also, some things that we have to remember, we talked about exertion and, being outside, doing your yard work. You want to make sure that you're wearing things that are protecting you from the heat, such as your wide brim hat when you're out there doing your yard work. You want to make sure that you're keeping your neck protected. You can put a nice damp sweat towel around your neck or covering the back of your neck to protect you from the heat. Making sure that you're bringing plenty of ice water out to drink while you're out there working in the heat. And for those of us, it's summertime. There's a lot of barbecues going on. People are drinking their beers or whatever else, and you have to remember that beer and alcohol tends to dehydrate you. People don't think about that, but it does. So the soda, because of the sugar content, and Kool-Aids and a lot of the juices, they're high in sugar. All of those things dehydrate you. So if you're going to be, drinking all of these different beverages, whether it's alcoholic beverages, whether it's juices, whether it's, Kool-Aid, and, your beers or your wines or what have you, you have to like double your water intake for those things because they dehydrate the body, and it puts you at higher risk of being susceptible to getting into heat stroke situations or situations to where you're feeling nauseous because dehydration does cause nausea and it causes dizziness and all these other things, and you couple that in with the intense heat. And mind you, it doesn't even have to be intense heat. It just has to be hot.
That's right.
It could just be warm, and that is enough to cause a situation that doesn't have to happen. So you want to make sure that you're doubling, even tripling your water intake. Pregnant women, ladies, we have to drink more water than everybody else when we're carrying and we're expecting. You have to actually drink more than a gallon of water a day. I know we hate running to the restrooms. That little bundle of joy is in there beating on your bladder, and you just get tired of getting up and down and up and down. But with the heat, you have to be very careful because that dehydration can cause you to go into preterm labor, as well as potentially cause you to faint. And we don't want any complications happening between any of the mothers or the babies to come. So you want to be very mindful of your water intake. Double your water intake during the hot months, you guys. It's really, really important. It's good for your body to do that because you want to flush out, keep your body flushing and getting rid of toxins and sweating like it needs to sweat in a healthy way. But at the same time, you want to keep yourself hydrated because it helps to protect you from heat stroke situations.
That's right.
And just making sure to wear the proper gear when you know that you're going to be out in the sun. If you're going to be walking, you don't necessarily have to wear a wide brim hat. You can carry a small umbrella, give yourself some shade, that type of thing. But just making sure that we're taking proper precautions during these hotter months.
That's right. And since we have 20 minutes remaining for today's broadcast, I'm going to ask you, Massena and Coach Garrison, if we can go to the two documents on babysitting in the summer months for babies and smoke alarm for at the average household, in particular smoke alarm for the hearing impaired. I think that's important too. It's just we're talking about safety, summer safety. So if we can get those two documents together, babysitting safety, smoke alarms, and particularly for hearing impaired. This is Awesome Radio 106.9. Back in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Massena. Joining us today is my fabulous co-host, Miss Massena Lewis, and Coach Vernon Garrison. We continue the topic on summer safety and the different things to look out for to avoid. We did have a caller that called in, but we're on break at the time the caller called in. I want to ask that caller, would she be so kind to give us a call back? And we'll be standing by waiting for your call. But right now, we're going to talk about babysitting, smoke alarms, in particular, smoke alarms for the hearing impaired, with my co-host and Coach Vernon Garrison. Coach.
All right. So during the summer, it's time to get away. If you have a relationship, work relationship, marital relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship, or even a situationship, you know, that's a new type of relationship. You know that, right?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to ask Massena. There's some little interference on your end.
Oh, yeah.
That's better, a whole lot better. Thank you.
So if you want to get away, you need a babysitter. I'm getting a great opportunity to get this subject could be better suited for her, but for Massena, but I'm going to delight myself into understanding what goes into getting a babysitter nowadays. This is pretty cool. But anyways, you definitely want to look at your babysitter home or place if you don't go to one of those pay places. 2 ways out of every room. Where the outdoor meeting place is located.
Right.
The fire department emergency phone numbers probably should be posted, or you know that they know them. You know how to unlock all the doors and windows, so you know your senses are picking up on whether this is a safe place. You know, but you may not want to ask these embarrassing questions or make these statements to make your friend or a little contractor or contractor uneasy. But, you know, if you allow the babysitter to cook, you want to make sure that they keep the child at least 3 feet away from the stove. Keep the child at least 3 feet away from the microwave. Never leave the room while cooking. Keep anything that can catch fire away from the stovetop. Keep pets off the surface or countertops. You ought to do that anyway, but some people let their pets just do whatever. You know, if the smoke alarm sounds, you should already talk to your children about, you know, what happens when that happens, if you have infants and things of that nature. So you want to deal with people who have a frame of mind that they can respond in an emergency. Now, a couple of things before I close is always leave a phone number where you can be reached, which is likely already done. Be sure that the babysitter knows the home address if they're at your home. I was on the call with 911 the other day, and I was at a building that's a block big, and I mentioned the store. Anyways, shortly, the 911 operator, they wasn't quite digging where I was. And I was calling the name in front of the store. I gave the name, I gave the address, but this was a multiplex facility. So when the ambulance came, that thing drove right by us. Woo!
Yeah. That's not funny, but I see why. Yeah,
I know. And then they had to turn around and blah, blah, blah. So there was moments that I had a non-responsive individual in my care at that time. So knowing that address, put a big old poster board, because when you get excited, you're heightened and you're a little nervous. You may not be able to recite it. Even you may not be able to recite the phone number or confirm it because you're nervous. In other words, you're scared. So with this babysitting thing, and you probably already vetted the person you're going to leave your child with anyways, but make sure to have the technical aspects laid out.
And just one thing I want to mention before we go to Massena, as far as babysitting, here in the state of North Carolina, you might have to do a little research or call someone that knows a little bit more information about this. But I know I think they require that you be certified in babysitting in North Carolina now. There's also was mentioned, is it better to have a female babysitter or a male babysitter? Well, that's up to the individual family. I'm not going to draw any more information on that. I'd rather for you to look that up yourself.
If you go to www.nfpa.org/education, nfpa.org/education, they teach. In many places, they offer babysitting classes. So there are also online classes, but if you check that reference I just gave you, which is a NFPA Public Education Division
Yeah.
in Quincy, Maryland.
And I'm going to ask Massena, you have any comments to make on this part, Massena?
Well, I have 3 children and now a grandson. And when my children were growing up, I was very particular about who I allowed to watch my children. My daughter, she only had 2 babysitters that were not family, throughout her life. And for the majority of the time, she was with me or she was with family that I trusted. With my sons had only one babysitter that was outside of family as well. If they weren't with that particular babysitter, they were with me or family. I think it is so very, very, very important that not only are you comfortable with the person, but that the child is comfortable with the person who you're allowing to watch them and for them to be left with. I've always been very strong on if my children didn't have a comfortable reaction with whomever I was considering, or if anything looked funny to me and my child wasn't comfortable, it was an automatic no. I think it is important to not only go to people's homes and see what they keep their house like, but pay attention to the company you keep. I think social media is a big friend in this way because you can see the type of mentality and personality they have by the things that they post. Picking a babysitter is so important because when you trust someone with your child, you're trusting them with your life, you're trusting them with your child's life and your child's safety. And if your children mean everything and they're your world to you, like my children are to me, that is a very, very delicate thing. And I think that every parent should be very vigilant doing their research, doing their background checks. There's a few places online that run background checks and certify babysitters and nannies. They can run pretty pricey. Sometimes they're flexible, but if you don't know how to do it yourself, be very, very careful about who it is you're leaving your children with and making sure that you do your due diligence as a parent, especially if your child can't talk yet. That was really big for me, especially. My children did not go to a babysitter until they could talk. My youngest was probably the first one to go to a babysitter before he could talk because my oldest son was at the same babysitter with him and could already talk. I think it's really, 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 really important, especially in this day and age. People are out of their minds. And yeah, it's really just important to, just do your due diligence to ensure your child's safety, to make sure that your child is protected, even at school. Like I've had to, switch my child teachers before, because the teacher that they had was not treating my child correctly and was not treating my child right. And so I have had moved her teachers. My oldest daughter had to move teachers before. It's just important as parents that we're doing our due diligence. I know, the way life is and how bills are and all of that. We have to do what we have to do to make a living and provide and do all of that stuff. But our number one duty as parents is to make sure that our children are safe, even when we have to go to work, even when we have to make these, make the money for these bills and everything like that.
Yeah.
Our number one safety is to make, our number one job is to make sure that our children are okay.
All right, Massena, we have about 20 seconds remaining for this particular segment. When we come back, we'll have our final 10 minutes. I would like to focus on smoke alarms at home and smoke alarms for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. That's the hearing impaired. Because believe it or not, smoke alarms are a very important part of summer safety. So that's why we'll add this part to it. This is 106.9 FM. Back in a moment. Thank you for keeping it locked right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Glenn Johnson Show. This is Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, WBISLP. And we are down to our final 10 minutes of the broadcast. So I want to give a special thanks to Coach Vernon Garrison for joining me today and to my co-host, Ms. Massena Lewis. Now, I want to get into smoke alarms, particularly for the hearing impaired, because I think this is a very important part of summer safety as well, because you might have something on inside the house to bring outside to the grill. And therefore, you need to make sure that your house is protected as well as what you're doing outside. In addition to the smoke alarms, I just want to mention one thing before I give it over to Coach Garrison. That is, if you have a smoke pit, and while the flames might be good for you to look at and observe, you got to be very mindful of the smoke that is creating, and don't inhale any of that smoke. That smoke can be detrimental to your health. So we want to get into smoke alarms, Coach Garrison.
All right. For people who are deaf or hard of hearing, that special population is very special, because one of my best, dearest friends was hearing impaired. And this cat was, I think he was his 7 superheroes in one. He could do everything. He could fish, he could skateboard, he could pop wheelies on bikes. Everything he did except for hearing, he excelled in. But now look at some of the devices they have to accommodate the hearing impaired. When it comes to smoke alarms, the devices are available for the deaf or hard of hearing. Strobe lights that flash when smoke alarms sound. So if you can't hear, all of a sudden you see bright lights going on in your house.
Right.
I used to deliver pizza, and the person came to the door and they were deaf and couldn't speak. And I saw the light that was flashing, and obviously it came from the doorbell. They warn people. Now, how about when they're sleeping? When people are deaf or asleep, check this out, Doc Johnson. A pillow or bed shaker, can wake them up, so that they can escape. The shaker is activated by the sound of smoke alarm. So these things are networked throughout the home. And when people who are hard of hearing are asleep, nope, I said hard of hearing, kind of like you. When you're trying to explain something to you, you're hard of hearing.
I was trying to think, but I don't hear nothing.
You need an axe to split yours. But I would say, I didn't mean that, y'all. I ain't cut them yet. To alert device uses a loud, it could be extraordinarily loud, mixed, low-pitched sound, that can wake them up. They might find a pillow or bed shaker helpful. I just need that anyway sometime when I'm asleep. These devices are triggered by sound or smoke alarms. Yeah. So, there are a lot of things that are done. I just think that hearing impaired people, one of the senses, have just caused all of their other senses to be magnified times 10. And I just can't say how I feel brilliant around. I feel inadequate around someone who can't hear and don't see well, because they got other things going on that's super, super great.
Well, before I give it over to Massena, I want to ask you, Coach Garrison, because I know you like to cook. I got a nickname for you, Vavoon.
Okay.
Because your mouth is like a big old compactor when it comes to food. Anyway, getting back seriously, my question to you is: so since smoke alarms or smoke detectors is a safety issue, and it's a must-have for the summertime, what could possibly be inside of your house that could be cooking if you're on the outside of the house? Maybe you have some sausage or hot dogs boiling, because a lot of people do like to boil those items before they actually take them and put them on the grill. You think that might be one of the reasons why?
Well, I think when you put something in the oven, out of sight, out of mind, and you don't, even if you, who uses a timer on the oven? Okay, therefore, the one on the microwave works automatically when we run out of time. But I have never, once upon a time, I put a timer on the oven and I, to set it to remind me of what was in there. But I think that oven and when you're, pre-cooking stuff to take outside, but that grease fire is obviously going to be top dog.
Yeah.
With a fire situation. And I think when you're cooking outside, when I had my birthday parties, I had 3 grills going on in the backyard and people cooking in the house. So I might not be the person to ask that question.
That's why I named you Vavoom. So we have 4 minutes remaining, and we definitely don't want to leave my fabulous co-host out, Miss Massena Lewis.
She in the toolbox.
She in the kitchen.
Yeah, she in the kitchen. I don't know about
that. All right, I'm going to ask you to continue, Coach Garrison.
Well, great. I think I have enjoyed being on the show. I can't say how much I love the hot weather. A lot of people are suffering, and I'm not. So, but I'm still careful, and I respect the weather. So I hear Massena moving around back.
Yeah, I hear it down. Yeah, I hear it now.
Yeah, I was talking and didn't realize that my volume didn't let me back in.
You were talking and wasn't saying nothing.
It wasn't saying nothing. I said, "Wow."
Yeah, I told you. I told you it's like I was trying to think, but I didn't hear nothing.
That's what Glenn do all the time. Talk, but he ain't saying nothing. Okay, go ahead.
All right, you got that one. You got that one. We're going to give it to Massena. We have 3 minutes remaining, Massena.
Well, everybody has been saying it's very important to not only, enjoy the heat and enjoy the weather, enjoy the beautiful sun and all the vitamin D you can get from being outside, but we have to be mindful of the heat and the dangers of the heat and be safe while enjoying the heat.
Absolutely.
Keep ourselves safe, keep our children safe, just being mindful and using wisdom when we're coming out for the day or having our barbecue or whatever it is that we may be doing during this summer heat. And just protecting ourselves. That's vitally important. It's important for our health. It's important, to keep those medical bills down because we don't want to make any trips to the emergency room.
Yeah. And
we want to just be able to, just enjoy the summertime, enjoy the weather, enjoy ourselves. That's we've been waiting a long time to do that. It feels like, we were quarantined for 2 years, nobody was really coming out. And, now we finally get a normal summer, a semi-normal summer for the most part. And we still have to keep in mind our safety. Safety has to come first.
Yeah, I also want to give a special thanks to Deputy Chief Kluntz from the Winterville Fire Rescue. He's on the paramedic side. So we have 2 minutes remaining. I'm going to let Coach Verdi Garrison have it and close us out.
What did you say his name was?
Kluntz.
Stop it, man.
What is it?
I set you up. That's okay. I'm not even gonna go there.
It's Kluntz.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been once again a great documentary, a time stamp. This has been one for the history books, but it's also one for you to be accountable for your family, to be accountable for your household, to be accountable. And thank God we are able to be accountable for my people that are in crisis, hearing impaired, and have difficulties already. Then my hat is off to you. My strength is yours. My love is for you to build you up, to be able to get outside. And if you are not able to go outside to experience the heat, I can't put myself in your position and say I understand, but I can say it's hot out there. Okay. So if you're bedridden or you're in a home where you can't move around, we all have to find our place in life, our station, and find ways to be thankful that we can open our eyes and speak. But by all means.
Yeah. And one last thing, should you like to avail yourself to any of the documents that we have in front of us, please email me at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com. That's Glenn with 2 N's, johnsonshow@gmail.com. I think it's so very important, and you want to enjoy the documents that I will email it back to you. Coach Garrison.
All right, and I'm going to try to close again before Johnson say something, but they ain't saying nothing. I just like to say I appreciate everyone that's listening to the show and watching the rebroadcast on www.awesomeradio.org or the Roku channel or GPAT 23.
GPAT 23, that's right.
You can download the app and hear the station 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This has been a Glenn Johnson Show on Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM.